Tila nabuking na nga ngayong araw ang umano'y pangungurakot ni Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. Ito nga ay matapos mapag-alaman ng labis-labis nitong confidential funds na napag-usapan ngayon sa isang hearing. Lumabas din ang napakarami pang anomalya ngayon sa pamumuno nito, maging ang ama nitong si former President Rodrigo Duterte ay hindi din makapaniwala sa nalaman nito matapos ilabas ng House of Committee ang mga ebidensya na magpapatunay na sobra-sobra ang confidential funds ni Vice President Inday Sara. Narito panoorin ang video.
Mr. Chairman, I do disagree with the position of COA. Well, in fact, you were issued a subpoena to the STICO with regards to the notice of disallowance, di ba? And you submitted it to the committee. Tama? Tama?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Oh, sinabit nyo nga yung highlights eh. All we're asking is to justify this. We're not talking about the case. We're just talking about if indeed the ND, not you have all the highlights of such yung ginawa nyo with regards to the budget of OBP is indeed tama. So what's stopping you from submitting all those attachments? Kasi nandito na nga eh. Di ba?
And before you answer, just to clarify, COA, let me read the provision under the Rules of Procedure Governing Inquiries in Aid of Legislation. Section 1, Power to Conduct Inquiries, Paragraph 2 provides that the filing or pendency of a case before any court, tribunal, or quasi-judicial or administrative body shall not stop or abate any inquiry conducted to carry out a legislative purpose. So kahit po yung mga sinatawag po nating sub judice, hindi po kami covered nun. So please answer, COA. Please identify yourself. Attorney?
Erwin Lapitan.
Attorney Lapitan, please continue.
Yes, Mr. Chair, i-clarify ko lang po na ang ND po ay audit decision po. It's an audit decision by the auditor po. And the nature of a notice of disallowance is civil in nature po.
There is no case yet filed.
It's actually a case before the case ay...
You cannot prosecute. Kasi kayo recommendatory lang, just like this committee.
Yes, we agree, Mr. Chair,
diba?
That we don't have the authority to prosecute.
What's stopping you from giving us all those attachments?
Mr. Chair, it may affect...
Yes. Tapusin ko ako, Chairman. What's stopping you
continue.
from giving all those attachments being requested by this committee? What will influence you?
Mr. Chair, it may affect the adjudication process by the commission proper. And
sandali.
Yes, Mr.
Sandali. Isa-isahin po natin. Ano yung first reason nyo? Isa-isahin muna natin. It will affect the adjudication of the commission proper.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In what manner?
Of course, Mr. Chair, the commission, the COA has a constitutional power to adjudicate. Therefore, any information that may affect its adjudication procedures or processes, and considering that the notice of disallowance is not yet final, then...
But you know, inquiries in aid of legislation, kailangan namin dito mga dokumento. Now, eto, notice of disallowance, di ba? And di nyo, ito yung highlights. Oh, how can you justify to us if you cannot submit the attachments and the documents that gives the result of this notice of disallowance? Simply, it cannot influence.
Yes, Mr.
The commission proper.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will comply upon issuance of the subpoena.
Hindi, nag-issue na nga eh.
Yes.
Di ba, Mr. Chairman, nag-issue na nga?
Yes, we already...
Hindi, ang hindi ko lang ma-accept yung reasoning nyo na it will affect the possible decision of the commission proper, because well, in fact, sabi ko nga kaya nung nakaraan pa, it will take 6 months, di ba? Tama, 6 months, di ba? Before it goes through with commission proper, di ba?
Mr. Chair, the appeal process...
Kaya nga, may appeal, because of the appeal, di ba? Now, ang hindi ko maintindihan, But yung sasabihin, you will give that reason na you cannot submit because it will affect. Well, in fact, I talked to your chairman yesterday, and it is not a valid reason. And please don't push me to invite your chairman dito. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Before you
Mr. Chair.
continue, Deputy Speaker, the Chair would like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Edward V.P. Maceda of 4th District, Manila. Please continue, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. You mentioned, Attorney Lapitan kanina na there's a process of appeal, no? Has an appeal been made?
As of today, as of this date, Mr. Chair, we don't have information on whether the concerned agency appealed.
Okay, so in other words, wala pa. Are you gonna give a different answer, ma'am, or
Attorney Gamora.
Mr. Chair, in addition to what my colleague has mentioned, usually po pag nag-appeal yung agency, of course it's the CP that makes the decision, so they ask the sectors, the office from where the NP
ano lang? My question is, just yes or no.
po.
Has an appeal been made? Yun lang naman po yung tanong ko. So,
As far as
Umapila daw po ba sila?
As far
May
as
appeal na
ICFO
po ba?
po, wala pa pong order sa amin na mag-comment on any appeal po.
okay, so in other words, wala pa rin.
On the part of ICFO, wala
Yeah,
pa po.
kasi wala pa rin kayong, okay. So, going back lang po tayo dun sa tinatalakay ko kanina. Kanina meron po nabanggit na, can you show the slide please? So, ito nabanggit po ito ni Congressman Fernandez kanina. Yung rental ng safe houses, again, saktong 16 million po ang total. Kowa, can you please inform us how many safe houses are we talking about?
Wala po akong information on the number of safe houses, Mr. Chair.
So, wait, okay. I'm trying to digest this. Walang number of safe houses?
Mr. Chair, since our audit is just based on the joint circular, we just determine based on what is required under the joint circular,
No, but
Mr. Chair.
you conducted an audit, correct? So, and
yes.
in your audit, you should have determined the specifics and details of the items, correct?
Mr. Chair, it's not one of the items required under the joint circular. What is required is the documentary evidence of
Correct.
payment.
So, in the documentary evidence that was presented to you, the question is, how many safe houses?
It was not identified in the documentary evidence of payment. What was identified were the number of people who received the payment po.
So so medyo suspicious po itong 16 million para sa safe houses. Kasi kayo na rin ang nagsabi na walang documentary evidence ang isinubmit patungkol sa mga detalye dito.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Based on your audit experience, aren't these red flags?
Mr. Chair, hindi pa ganun ka-extensive ang experience ko, but since these are confidential
Okay, anyway,
funds,
so kunyari mag-focus po tayo sa 35 million na purchase of supplies. Again, do you know the details of these supplies?
just what is included in the documentary evidence of payment, Mr.
And in the
Chair.
documentary evidence that was submitted, what were the specifics of these supplies?
There's no identification, Mr. Chair.
So basta bumili lang ng supplies.
based on the document, Mr.
Hindi
Chair.
sinabi kung ano, kung ilan, kung anong klase, kung saan gawa, basta bumili ng supplies.
It's not a requirement po under the joint circular, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
no, I mean, I'm asking to say yes or no. Correct. So basta nag-submit na sila, bumili kami ng supplies. Kasi, you know, we need to thresh this out because if we want to come up with a law, it is important for us to find out where the loopholes in auditing are. Diba? Kasi dito nakikita natin, may mga specific amounts na malalaki, kaso lang, based on documentary evidence, hindi supported kung paano ginastos. Hindi supported kung may resibo, hindi supported kung ilan. So I think, you know, this is another piece of legislation that we can push forward, Mr. Chair, dahil ito naman pong ginagawa natin is in aid of legislation. Ito din po, balikan din po natin, no, ma'am, ito pong provisions ng medical supplies and food aid. Nabanggit po ba kung kanino po ibinigay o sino yung mga recipients itong food aid na po ito?
Mr. Chair, naka-identify yung names dun sa documentary evidence of payment, pero hindi po pwedeng mag-divulge ng mga pangalan.
Okay. But yung...
Mr. Chair, can I interject, please?
Please
In relation
continue.
to- In relation to the questions of
Vice
the
Chair
DH.
Abante.
Ano nakalagay sa documentary evidence? Ano nakalagay doon? Nakalagay ba doon yung liquidation nila on, for example, yung 35 million na supplies? Is that properly liquidated in the documentary evidence?
Mr. Chair, yung liquidation report po nila is maraming documents po. The documentary evidence of payment is just that po, yung evidencing the payment. But the liquidation report, there is the liquidation report. There are these
Iba
other
yun, iba
reports
yun.
po.
Iba yung liquidation report. The
Yes,
documentary
Mr. Chair.
evidence.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So,
Supporting document.
ano pagkakaiba nun?
Yung liquidation report po is yung parang cover letter po, yung pinaka-liquidation voucher nila. Naka-specify po doon kung sino yung it is certified correct by kung sino man yung SDO, certified nung kanyang immediate supervisor, and then certified by the accounting that the supporting
certified.
documents are
Pero
complete.
I just would like to know, kanina, Deputy Speaker JJ asked about the 35 million supplies, no ha? Okay, and then he asked about kanino binigay yan? Ano nangyari dyan? So, doon ba sa liquidation report, nakalagay doon kung kanino binigay ang supplies na yan, kung ano yung mga supplies na yan, doon pa nakalagay sa liquidation report?
Sa liquidation report mismo, Mr. Chair, wala po doon kasi ito po yung general na the whole, pertaining to the whole amount. Yung documentary evidence of
How
payment
can
po
you-
yung details.
Okay, how can you properly audit if, for example, like, kulang-kulang ang nakalagay sa liquidation report? I mean, the thing is, it is the duty of the office of the Vice President to liquidate, correct? And
That is
in the
correct.
liquidation report, it is the duty of the Vice President to tell the COA kung saan nagamit yon, kung anong klaseng supply yon, kung magkano ang pagkakabili nun, at kung kanino ibinigay yon. And that should be in the audit report, am I right?
Mr. Chair, wala pong audit report pagdating sa confidential fund. We just issue the audit actions after we audit the liquidation report.
This is very interesting, Mr. Chair. Why don't you have an audit report?
Mr. Chair, we just, based on the joint circular, andun po yung functions ng ICFAO. Andito lang po is issue an AOMNS or ND address to the HOA, or the head of agency, Mr. Chair. And then keep records of all those issued na audit actions po. and
Wha-
then
wha- wha-
prepare.
What are you referring for? What are you referring to? Are you referring to the? It says you're saying that there is no audit report. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. Chair. There's no audit report, but there are audit actions that are issued.
There are audit action.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So how do you? Where do you put the audit actions as reported? What do you call that?
The audit actions, Mr. Chair, are the audit observation memorandum, the notice of suspension, and the notice of disallowance.
Mr. Chair,
Copies-
is that submitted to this committee? Not yet, no. So I'd like to make a motion that we subpoena the documents, the audit of action, di ba? And the liquidation report to be submitted here in this committee. So I move, Mr. Chair.
Is there any second to the motion? Duly seconded, hearing none. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Ma'am,
Thank you. Thank you.
sir, may tatanong lang po ako. Pwede po makita uli yung slide kanina? Yung slide. Ma'am, pakibaba po, pakibaba. Pakibaba po. Yung kaninang itemize. Yung kaninang itemize po. Yan, pakilakihan po ng konti. Ma'am, yung dito po sa purchase of supplies worth 35 million, wala po kayong idea kung ano yung item nito?
Kung ano lang po yung nasa documentary evidence of payment,
Which is, ano po?
which is yung names po nung recipient.
And then, pero yung supplies, wala.
Wala po, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Hindi po ba kayo nagtaka na yung nilagay po nilang 35 million dito ay eksakto?
Mr. Chair,
Napakalaki po na itong amount, tapos eksakto pong 35 million. Wala man lamang pong butal, like 34,950,000 or 31,450,000. Hindi po ba kayo nagtaka na bumili ng supplies, tapos eksaktong-eksakto pong 35 million?
Mr. Chair, if you will look at the notice of disallowance po, na-extract na po namin yung part nung supplies which are part of the reward. Kaya sa notice of disallowance, hindi na po siya ganyan na buo-buong amount.
So ano pong ibig sabihin nyo? Pakipaliwanag po ninyo.
Based on the after po ng AOM po kasi nag-submit sila ng mga compliance, so may mga na-explain na portion, so kaya sa notice of disallowance po, it's not exactly the same as kung ano yung nasa utilization report nila.
So
Kasi
magkaiba po yung nakalagay sa utilization at saka dun sa...
sa notice of disallowance po, Mr. Chair.
So kaya nga
Kasi,
po, kaya po ninyo lockdown.
Opo, kaya po
Dahil
may,
merong medyo may problema. Tama po ba?
may
Okay.
in-account na po
Yun po
namin.
tinatanong ko. Tama po ba? Kaya
Tama
po ninyo lockdown dahil meron pong problema kayong nakita.
Yes, Mr.
At
Chair.
isa po sa problema, dahil nga po dun sa amount, parang medyo hindi po nagtutugma
Yes, Mr.
sa ebidensya po na kanilang sinumite. Tama po ba?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Sa susunod, yung provision of medical and food aid, eksakto rin ito, 40 million. So, hindi rin po ba kayo nagtaka? Bakit eksakto pong pagbili ng medical at saka food aid?
Again, Mr. Chair,
Again,
binis namin sa documentary evidence of payment, so hindi po exactly ganyan. na
hindi
40
so
million.
ibig sabihin, iba yung utilization na nilalagay nila dito, iba rin po yung pinepresenta sa inyong ebidensya. Tama po ba?
Sa,
Or documentary evidence. Tama po ba?
Sa pagkakategorize po nila, Mr. Chair.
So magkaiba po.
Yes, Mr.
At kaya po ninyo lockdown dahil may disparity. Tama
yes,
po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr.
So
Chair,
posible,
Mr. Chair, I just would like to ask, are we referring to the
35 million and 40 million.
confidential, the complete confidential fund of the Office of the Vice President?
Ito po.
Are we referring on that? Ibig sabihin, these are the 2 years na since the
Ito
Vice
po
President
yung-
Vice President.
Ito po for the period covering December 21 to 31 of the confidential fund. Yan po. Kasi po, nakita po natin very glaring po sa letter D o item number 4, purchase of supplies, eksakto, 35 million. At dun sa provision of medical and food aid, 40 million. Eksakto rin. So medyo nakakapagtaka lang po dahil wala pong kabutal-butal at eksaktong-eksakto po yung supplies. Okay, so yun lang po. I will now recognize the...
Unfortunately, I'm not done with my questions. If I can just complete my line of questioning.
Okay, please,
para lang,
with the indulgence of Congresswoman Luis Tro, the Deputy Speaker will just continue
of course,
with his
Kong
interpellation.
Jinky, if I may continue. Thank you. I just want to highlight COA. Are you familiar with COA rules regarding disbursements of confidential funds and intelligence funds? Rule 4.15.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Of the
Yeah.
Joint Circular, Mr. Chair.
Yes, yeah. Nakasulat po dun sa 4.15.3 that the details and supporting documents on transactions that are classified are in the custody of the agency and kept in the vault, which may be inspected by the ICFAU if the circumstances so demand. Am I correct?
4.15, Mr. Chair.
Point 3, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This pertains to classified information. This pertains po to intelligence fund.
Yeah. So maybe under these circumstances, this would fall under those circumstances wherein we can demand the documents of the transactions.
Mr. Chair, when it comes to confidential funds, the documents are submitted to the ICFAO.
Okay, fantastic. So pakisabit na lang po sa amin at nag-subpoena na naman po kami, no? Ma'am, balikan lang po natin yung line of questioning ko kanina. Yeah. Can we go back to the slide, please, Comsec? Oo. Thank you. No. Doon sa taas. Yan. Okay. Dito po, based sa inyong audit, 10 areas ito sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Ma'am, yung isang slide. Yung ginawa po yung surveillance activities, would you know which areas were under surveillance or conducted surveillance in? Was it in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao?
Mr. Chair, ang information lang po namin is yung nasa utilization report. Yung sa documentary evidence of payment po, hindi naman din po identified yung...
So wala ring klarong supporting documents doon sa surveillance activities na kinonduct. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Kasi nakakapagtaka lang, no, ma'am, di ba? So kung titingnan din po natin yung amount at saka yung timing, kailan po ba ito? December 20 to 31. So didn't you find it quite out of the ordinary that people were being placed under surveillance and people were being under surveillance during Christmas season?
We just conducted the audit based on the requirements under the joint
Kasi
circular.
nakakapagtaka, no, itong mga activities na to gagawin sa panahon ng Pasko. Di bilang mga auditors, I think that would definitely call your attention on when actually these activities were conducted. Am I correct?
Yun nga po, based lang po talaga sa joint circular yung...
Okay. Thank you very much. Vice Chairman Jay, those are all my questions. So maraming salamat
Vice
po.
Chairman Jay, can I interject lang po before you recognize the next interpolator?
Thank you, DSJJ Suarez. Honorable
Mabilis lang
Paduano.
po. Ma'am, you're always telling that it is based on the GMC 2015-01, di ba? Tama? Yung sinasabi mo lagi,
Tama
di ba?
Tama
Based
po,
on the
Mr. Chair.
GMC.
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Oh, now, ito 6.2.3. Ito kasi, Mr. Chairman, hindi pwede nilang sabihin na based on the requirements because dito po, elaborated lahat, di ba? From 6.2.3.1 up to 6.2.3.6, tama?
Tama
Elaborated
po, Mr.
siya.
Chair.
But there is still a provision 6.2.3.7. Tama?
Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
ano? Please read.
Other supporting documents that FAO deems necessary for the proper evaluation of liquidation documents
Oh,
submitted.
ibig sabihin nun, lahat ng mga dokumento which is necessary should be submitted to you. Tama?
Tama po, Mr.
O,
Chair.
depende sa evaluation nyo kung kailangan dokumento na to.
Tama po,
Tama?
Mr.
And
Chair.
the question of DSDJ Suarez is all about the surveillance being made by the OVP during Christmas season, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O, di kailangan yung dokumento dito, ng mga detalye nito, di ba? Sa item na yan. Tama?
Yes, Mr.
Oh.
Chair.
Kaya hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin na based on the GMC. Kasi the GMC 6.2.3.7 provision states that all other documents related to the investigation or to the audit. Di ba? Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh. Kaya yung lahat na doon na walang butal, na sinabi kanina ni Chairman, nakapagtataka, di ba? So, dapat, and I know, siguro pinasubmit yun rin sila yung detalye noon.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yun nga eh. Kaya hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin na based on the GMC only. Because the GMC also states 6.2.3.7 all other related documents.
Yes,
Tama?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, di at least nagkalinawan tayo.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will now proceed to the next interpellator, the Honorable Jervil Jinky Luistro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Attorney Camora, the
Yes, Mr.
questions
Chair.
are directed to you. Before I proceed to the questions, I just want to have a clarification first about the confidential fund that were given to the OVP. Am I correct? We have 125 million for the last quarter of 2022. The same was utilized from December 20 to 31 of 2022.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And on the succeeding year, that is 2023, the OVP was allocated also a total confidential fund equivalent to 500 million. Do you confirm?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And out of the 500 million, attorney, how much was utilized and how much was unutilized?
Mr. Chair, for 2023, they utilized for the first 3 quarters, which is 125 times 3, and for the fourth quarter, they did not cash advance the amount. So may naiwan pong 125 million.
In other words, for clarification of the committee, I wish to state for the record that when we speak of confidential fund of the Office of the Vice President, we're talking about 125 million spent from December 20 to 31 of 2022. Another 125 million spent on the first quarter of 2023. Another 125 million spent on the second quarter of 2023. And another 125 million spent on the third quarter of 2023. This is a total, if I am correct, Attorney Camora, 500 million. Do you confirm?
That is correct, Madam.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
I wish to go back to my question during the last hearing, Attorney. I asked you, paano po ba natin i-distinguish ang confidential fund from regular fund? This time, I want a more comprehensive answer, and please try to laymanize it because I want this to be understood by the Filipino people. As a matter of fact, I am raising this question so the Filipino people will understand ano po ang pagkakaiba ng confidential fund from regular fund. Let us discuss first about the purpose.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ang purpose po ng confidential and intelligence funds are for confidential and or intelligence activities. While yung sa regular funds po, it is for the attainment of programs, activities, and projects other than confidential fund and or intelligence activities. Ito po yung regular na perang ginagamit ng mga government agencies.
And if you will agree with me, Attorney, if I would say that when we speak of confidential fund, it has something to do with the national security, peace and order, surveillance activities. Am I correct?
That is correct po, Madam Chair.
And when we speak of regular funds, any other funds except something which has to do about security, peace and order.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now let's go to the procurement. Ano po ang pagkakaiba ng confidential fund from regular fund in terms of procurement?
Mr. Chair, in terms of procurement, the regular funds must follow the laws on procurement, which is now the RA 9184 as amended po. As to confidential and intelligence funds, to avoid compromising the confidential matters, it usually does not undergo procurement.
And do you agree that we have this joint circular which regulate the utilization of confidential fund?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you share with us what is that joint circular?
It is the joint circular issued by the Commission on Audit, the Department of Budget and Management, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, the Governance Commission for GOCCs, and the Department of National Defense.
Kanina, Attorney, you mentioned about Republic Act number 9184. This is the procurement law as amended, tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you would agree with me if I would say, under the procurement law, before you proceed to procurement, there has to be a posting.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There has to be an invitation to bid.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There has to be a pre-qualifying process for the bidders.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There has to be a bidding.
Yes, Mr.
There
Chair.
has to be a post-qualifying.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And all of this will happen before we issue the notice to proceed.
Yes, Mr.
And if
Chair.
I may add, we also require the parties to execute a contract. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And all these formalities are not present when we speak about confidential fund, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That is for the reason that we wish to protect matters concerning national security, peace and order, and surveillance. Tama
Yes.
po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now we proceed to number 3, about liquidation. Ano pong pagkakaiba ng confidential fund from regular fund?
Liquidation po for confidential intelligence funds is provided under the joint circular 2015-01. For regular funds, it is COA circular number 97-002.
Can we laymanize it, Attorney Camora? Kapag po ba tayo'y magli-liquidate ng confidential fund, anong dokumento ang nire-require natin from the agency?
The requirements are all indicated po sa, na-mention po kanina, 4.8 of the joint circular.
In substance, would you agree with me that What we are requiring, if it is a confidential fund, one is financial plan. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
2 is the accomplishment report. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And 3 is the certification of the head of the agency. Is that
yes,
correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Whereas when we speak about the liquidation of regular fund, what requirements do we ask from the agency?
These are all under 97-002.
I understand. If I would say that under the regular fund, you are requiring the MOA or the contract, am I correct? I understand that there is a long list of documents, but I'm trying to emphasize only the substantial documents which should not be absent in the compliance of liquidation requirements.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There has to be a MOA or a contract if it is a regular fund. Second, there has to be a receipt.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There has to be an invoice.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I request the Secretariat to please flash the first slide. This slide summarizes the distinction between confidential fund and regular fund. In confidential fund, we have the Joint Circular 01, which regulates the same. For regular fund, we have the procurement law, otherwise known as RA 9184 as amended. As to purpose, confidential fund is for the purpose of peace and order and surveillance activities to promote national interest. Regular fund or other purposes other than those mentioned in the confidential fund. For procurement, there has to be posting and bidding, requirements which are not necessary for confidential fund. And for liquidation, in confidential fund, it is enough that there is a financial plan, an accomplishment report, and a certification of the head of agency. Whereas in regular fund, there has to be a receipt, an invoice, a copy of the MOA, a copy of the contract. Do you agree, Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I will cite some illustration for the better understanding of the Filipino people. I will be using confidential fund. Ang bibilhin ko, supplies of materials and equipments. Kailangan ko po bang mag-post at mag-bid?
No, Mr. Chair.
Kailangan po ba na ang maging supplier nito is the lowest bidder?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. But if I will be using a regular fund, I will be purchasing supplies of materials and equipment. Of course, I need to go through the process of posting and bidding, and then I need to choose the lowest bidder. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And then, Attorney, I will be renting a safe house for surveillance activities. So this is a confidential fund.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kailangan ko po bang mag-posting at mag-bidding?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. Diretso na sa rental ng safe house for surveillance. Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Do I still have to evaluate, invite, to be able to choose the lowest cost of rental for the surveillance?
No need, Mr. Chair.
No need, because this is a confidential fund. I will be buying a car for surveillance activities. Kailangan ko po bang mag-posting and bidding?
No, Mr. Chair.
Do I need to choose the lowest bidder?
No, Mr. Chair.
But if I will be using a regular fund, I need to go through the process of posting, bidding, and come up with the lowest bidder. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
If I will be procuring an equipment for surveillance activities, kailangan po ba ang posting at bidding?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. Do I need to choose the lowest bidder?
No, Mr. Chair.
But if I will be utilizing a regular fund, these requirements are all necessary. Tama po ba?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now we proceed to confidential fund. I remember during the last hearing, tinanong po ito ni Honorable Marcoleta. He was saying that the other agencies and even the other LGUs have confidential fund as well. Tama po, Attorney?
Tama po, Mr.
You remember
Chair.
that?
Yes, Mr.
He
Chair.
made a manifestation that even the other agencies of the government and the LGUs have confidential fund. And I wish to share the second slide to our committee. That is the basis of the confidential fund of the LGU. And tantamount to saying that it is true that even the LGUs have confidential fund. This is DILG Memorandum Circular 2022-118 and the JMC 2015-01. Tama po ba ito, Attorney Camora?
Tama po, Madam, Mr. Chair.
And you will agree with me also that under Section 16 of the Local Government Code, kasama po sa mandate ng LGU is to promote and maintain peace and order. I think the lawyers will agree. The lawyers from the DILG. I understand you're from COA.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So let me share this information that under Section 16 of the Local Government Code, bahagi po ng mandate ng LGUs, Local Government Unit, is to promote and maintain peace and order. And this justifies kung bakit mayroong confidential fund ang mga LGUs. Tama po ba, Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now let's go to the mandate of the OVP. Kasama po ba sa mandato ng OVP ang promotion ng peace and order, conduct of surveillance activity, and national security?
May I ask po yung OVP team, mas knowledgeable po sila sa mandates.
OVP team, please. You are from COA also.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
But
May I
you
allowed
are...
to speak na po? May I allowed to speak na po?
Go ahead.
Can you please enlighten us, what office are you representing, why Attorney Camora refer you as the OVP team? Because I understand you're also from COA.
I'm the audit team leader of the Office of the Vice Presidents for the audit of the regular funds.
Audit team leader of the OVP with respect to regular funds. But I'm talking about confidential funds.
Yes, Madam, Mr.
Do you think you are in the proper position to answer this question? This
But
is
the
about
question-
confidential funds.
But the question is all about the mandate of the OVP.
All right. What is the mandate of the OVP?
Based on the notes to a financial statement of the Annual Audit Report, the OVP, as the second highest office in the land committed to the service of the nation, OVP performs executive, ceremonial, and advocacy functions, collaborating with stakeholders and organizations in both public and private sectors to develop and promote programs that uplift the lives of the Filipino people. That's the mandate of the
Does it
OVP.
in any way mention about the peace and order, surveillance activity, and national security?
Based on what I've said
The
po,
question is answerable only by yes or no.
no po.
It does not.
Yes, Madam.
So you confirm that matters concerning peace and order, national security and surveillance is not part of the mandate of the OVP. Do you confirm that?
Mr. Chair, yes po, based on the mandate provided.
Yes. And why do you think the OVP was given confidential fund, considering that it is not part of the mandate to promote peace and order?
I think I'm not the right person to answer the question because I think it may course to the Department of Budget and Management because they're the one who provided the confidential fund in 2022.
I understand. But let me state for the record that nowhere in the law, not even in the Constitution, provide that the OVP has the mandate of promoting and maintaining peace and order, conducting surveillance activity, and even matters concerning national security. That is for the record, Mr. Chair. Now, talking about confidential fund, may we please flash the third slide. Kanina po pinag-usapan natin that under Section 16 of the Local Government Code, ang mandato ng LGU is to promote peace and order. And that justifies kung bakit ang mga LGUs ay mayroong confidential fund. Now, I wish to share this slide showing the LGUs which have the huge or the biggest number of confidential fund. This is representing year 2022. Davao City has 460 million. Cebu City has 7.38 million. The City of Manila has 120 million. Makati City has 240 million. And Quezon City has 75 million. Nakakapagtaka lang po kung bakit nalampasan pa ng Davao ang City of Manila, ang Makati, ang Quezon City. For Makati, Davao almost doubled the confidential fund. For City of Manila, it almost tripled the confidential fund. Ang Cebu City po was way left behind because it is only 7.38. So I just want to state for the record the huge disparity of the confidential fund of the Davao City as compared with the other LGUs. We have on the screen Cebu City, 7.38, City of Manila, 120 million, Makati City, 240 million, Quezon City, 75 million, while Davao, it skyrocketed to 460 million. May we request the Secretariat to please flash the fourth slide. This is the history of confidential fund of Davao City. 2016, it is 144 million. 2017, it is 294. 2018, it's 420. 2019, it is 460. 2019 up to 2022, it is 460 million. I just wish to state for the record, Mr. Chair, that while we acknowledge that the LGU is entitled to confidential fund because under Section 16 of the Local Government Code, bahagi po ng mandato nila is the promotion of peace and order. I just wish to state for the record that during this time, 2018 to 2022, the mayor of Davao City, I believe, is no less than the vice president.